In this training video, we will be talking about the single most important concept in USCED, the service provider slot. Every confirmed service request must have at least one service provider slot added to it. Each service provider slot contains all of the information and controls necessary to connect a service provider to a service request, to bill the customer, and to pay that service provider. Let's see what a service provider slot looks like in USCED. We're going to click on the yellow pencil icon on the service request. All of the provider slots are located under the Service Providers tab. Here, we can see that this service request has 2 service provider slots already added to it. The first service provider slot already has a service provider assigned to it. The second service provider slot is indicating unassigned, which means that there is not currently any service provider assigned to this specific slot. Each service provider slot has its own start and end time. The requested service, the service code to use to bill the customer, and the service code to use to pay the service provider. At the bottom of the service provider slots, we have some rollouts. These rollouts hide some fields that are not used very often in order to keep the user interface here as clean as possible. Let's see what we have under the customer billing rollout. Everything here in the customer billing rollout has to do with billing the customer. You can waive the fees, adjust the final bill by a dollar amount or percentage, bill for additional time before or after the scheduled time, and also bill for travel and expenses. The fields under the service provider pay rollout are the same as for the customer billing rollout for the most part, except that they deal with the service provider pay. You can set the service zone to use. You can waive the fees, adjust the final pay by a dollar amount or percentage, pay for additional time before or after the scheduled time, and also pay for travel and expenses. We also have a couple of additional options here that are related to the service provider invoicing system. This first option is the Handled Outside System option. When we enable this option, USCED will not allow the service provider to add the assignment to an invoice. The other option is the Lock Travel Reimbursement option. This will prevent the service provider from modifying the travel expenses for the assignment when it's invoiced. Under the Doc Pay rollout, we have some controls to handle situations where the service provider shows up late to an assignment. These controls affect both the customer billing and the service provider pay. By switching on the Doc Pay option, the minimum time for both customer billing and service provider pay will no longer apply. The number of minutes billed and paid will also be rounded down instead of up to the billing increment. You can also give the number of minutes docked, which is equivalent to moving the start time forward by so many minutes. This concludes the service provider slots training.